Welcome back. This is our Display Express training session. I'm Doug Engstrom with Contemporary Research. In this section, we're going to cover the basic setup of a Display Express system, where you start and where you begin. Again, we're back at the home page, and we'll go over to logically setup. And the first thing we do is look at the main page. That's called options. There's where we decide whether we want to do RS-232 control to the head end or IP control. Again, when we say head end, essentially what we have is a control modulator. It will take the data from the Display Express PC, either through 232 or IP, and it will translate that into a control channel that's broadcast to the other televisions throughout the system. So wherever the TV channels go, control goes as well. It's combined with the RF system as if I were a modulator for a TV channel. So that's the simplicity of the system. The control channel is in the RF system. There's nothing else to add. So the first step is defining the head end, where it is, and located, and that's set up in your system. Then you can go to you can view the computer name, the IP address, and what version of software we have, and that comes from your computer. You can change the name of the server to something else you'd like to have. And then the logging functions are reserved for when we're troubleshooting the system. And we can see what problems are showing up or what type of debugging commands are showing up, and that's something we would do if you're having an issue with the software. That done, you start with displays. And every display has an address in the system, and that's going to be starting at 257 all the way up to in the 4000s. So you can do quite a number of displays within a system. We've really set it up to encompass a very, very large system. None of ours have hit that level, but the way we group our TVs, it works out quite well. The editing is quite simple. I'll show you one command. We have the left side 1, so this is a sports bar. And so it's the first one on the left side. We've set its address to be 260, and then you either save it as something new or modify it. So let's say you want to change the name, and the address stays the same, or you change the address and the name stays the same. Very simple. So you're just doing saving, modifying, or deleting a controller on your system. Our controllers are arranged in zones. For example, I'll go to zone 5. Those are controllers that have an address from 281 to 1535. So if I send a command to zone 5, all of those controllers are going to react in the same way as if they were a single TV. So they're all going to turn on, they're all going to change their volume, they're all going to turn on, turn off according to what you send. And that's the power of zones. You can have a large system and divide it up in zones simply by the address that you have. And you're free to go in there and give it an alias, give it a name. So the right displays or left displays or skyboxes or Mesiane, lobby. And when you set up your system, you think about how you want to group these so they fall into these natural zones. And when you want to do big groups of TV, it makes it very easy to control. Once you go through the displays, you're set up, you're done. Those same displays can be arranged into groups. So you have zones already automatically by where you set the address. You can also have a free form. So let's say our group called large displays. I can pick from groups I've made up before. I can pick an individual display. And I can pick a zone, so let's say zone 5. I'll add that to the group. And I can say, I didn't want to do that, and I can arrange it as I want. So everything in that display, like a zone, when I send a command to that group, all of those will get the display. And then I can save that. And notice I'll always highlight in red when I have to save something. So there's very consistent editing techniques we have. You'll notice most things have this pattern where I want to create a new group. I want to edit something that's existing and pick it and look at it. Or I want to take this group SB4 and I'm going to make a couple small changes. So I'll copy this, give it a new name, and I've created a new group very quickly. That's how groups are created. This can be very free form, very easy. And the nice thing is when you have commands that talk to the group, if you go back later and edit what's in that group, that will follow however you've defined it. So it's a very flexible, powerful command. The next thing you do in there, and what TV channels do you have? And you can either sort these by the numeric channel or sort them by the name you want to give it. And I've gone my test system, and you just give it a name. Here's the HDTV channel. Give it a name, and you save it. And you can save it as new, modify or delete, just like we did with channels. And you can define whether they're an analog channel or an HD channel. And all those go in. By the way, if you notice right here, there are commands we've set aside so you can switch inputs. So by using a 0- channel command, I can tell the TV to go to HDMI 123, go back to the TV tuner, go to the VGA input on the display. And for special applications, very often in sports bars and other things, you can actually change the inputs on the TVs and go back. This usually works out best for TVs that have RS-232 control. And always check with us on the TVs that have that feature, because not all TVs have a usable feature. Say an infrared set might just have an input button. Well, that's not going to work. But 232 sets tend to have that. So call us up when you want to do that, and we can tell you whether that TV has that input capability or not. When you see these NTSC tune rings, that's for legacy systems that include the older smart TVs, Philips and Zenith and made sets that have a card that plugged in and take over the TV. And in those sets, I could put in a list of channels directly from Display Express, and I could make labels that go to the sets and things like that. In modern TV systems, this doesn't apply because you can't change the names of the channels. You can't put in the tuner ring. You have to scan the channels. So for most systems, you're just going to concern yourself with channel labels. And once you have this defined, you'll be ready to go to the next step, which will be creating presets. And that'll be in the following video. Thank you.